Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something that is quite interesting. We've got ourselves another Spinosaurus, and it is another nice, fairly updated interpretation of a Spinosaurus. But I have not reviewed any of these figures so far on the channel. These are the Megahouse puzzles, and as you can kind of see, or at least I assume you could probably make out this aspect, is the fact that we have kind of like a half and half model going on here, where you can see we've got like the fully regular kind of skin texture, you know, sort of regular looking Spinosaurus, and then when you turn it around you have the skeletal structure as well as some of the internal organs kind of showing on this figure. And I thought it was just so different and unique enough that I really wanted to get my hands on it. And you know, there are quite a few in this line. I know there's like a T-Rex, I think a Triceratops, a Mosasaurus. So there's a few different ones to choose from outside of the Spinosaurus, but I really wanted to just give the Spino a shot, see if I like it or not, and then maybe I'll pick up some of the others. But you can see the box art's pretty cool. We've got some nice images here as you move through. Looks like we have like a skeletal reconstruction of a fish, maybe. I can't really tell for sure if it's a skeleton, but it's the same color as the skeleton of the Spino. And then randomly the images sort of flip. Here we got a shot of the skeletal reconstruction again for the Spinosaurus. They have yet again flipped. Now we can see that there is a fish for sure. Looks like maybe a coelacanth or something next to the Spinosaurus down here, showing you that we have the ability to kind of give you the skeletal version or the regular version, and that is now in the mouth of the Spinosaurus. And I think that's really about it outside of what we have here on the back, which shows us all the different pieces that we have in store for us here with this model. So let's pop the box open and start assembling this. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff in here, as well as whatever this is. I don't know if this would be the assembly instructions or what. So we have kind of like a little booklet here that you can see again. Sort of, yes, I think it's going to basically actually show us what's going on. It gives us a little information about the Spinosaurus and also shows us what all the different parts are when it comes to the bones and everything, which is actually really cool. It's nice to be able to learn about the dinosaur. And then you can also see as we move through, it shows us all the different, you know, internal organs and everything that we've got going on for the inside of the Spinosaurus. So on top of getting a really cool model, you get to learn about it, and then here's a little information about assembling it, which I think, yes, we've got another section here. Obviously, we've got a little QR code there you could scan if you'd like to learn more. And then here on the other side, pretty much the same thing, just no longer in English. So that's pretty cool. I like that they actually, you know, inform you about the dinosaur, let you learn a little bit about it on top of having a cool model. And then as you can see, we've got a lot of pieces here to sort of take out and assemble. So I'm going to go ahead, bust all of the pieces out, and then we'll come back and check it all out once they're sitting here on the table. So now that we've opened everything up, what we're left with are three different piles, one of which we have the bones, then we've got the internal organs, then we have the outside of the Spinosaurus, and I don't think that you guys really want to follow along with the process of me actually building this and putting it together. So rather than boring you with that, I think I'll just get it put together and then we'll check it out from there. But one thing I will say straight off the bat, first of all, the Spinosaurus actually looks a lot nicer than I was expecting as far as the actual figure itself goes. It looks really good and has a nice, very sturdy, high quality feel. But the actual internal organs, as you can see, are kind of lame because there's no real detail to them. They're literally just random red pieces, and that's really all we have going on. So they don't really look that great, but I am still quite excited to actually get this put together and check it all out once it's finished. So let's get this built and we'll come right back. So here is our Spinosaurus now assembled, and honestly, that was actually so much fun to put together. We also have the fish, which the fish is already assembled. You don't need to do that. It's already ready to go. But I absolutely have to commend them on how fun this was actually to put together, because in the past I've had other similar things where it can at times get frustrating. Like you could just get angry that the pieces don't fit right, or they just don't go in or stay snapped together. Like if you look at the Planosaurus figures, like my Spinosaurus from the Planosaurus line just doesn't snap together the right way, and it can at times get very frustrating, whereas this was just an absolute joy to build. There was no issues with it at all. I didn't even need instructions. It's so obvious. The pieces only fit in the right slots, and everything just goes together so smoothly that I'm absolutely excited about this. You know, it really is a very pleasant build, and that is definitely something that you don't always get. So they absolutely need to be commended on that aspect straight out of the gate. Another thing, as you can see, the Spinosaurus stands, and not only does it stand, that tail's not touching. It looks like it might be, but it's really not. So somehow they've managed to balance this out in a way where it does stand very nicely, and considering the awkward proportions of Spinosaurus, that as well is pretty impressive, because that's not always something that you get when it comes to a Spinosaurus that looks like this. And, of course, once we turn it around and you look at the other side, that looks crazy cool. Like, it really is quite the sight to behold, and again, definitely another really, really cool looking addition to this model. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look, and we'll check it out from there. So, starting up here at the head sculpt of the Spinosaurus, you can see it actually does look really nice. When it comes to the fine detail, that as well looks really, really quite nice, honestly. Like, the scale detail is very crisp. It looks very high quality. The actual skin detail looks really good. You can see all sorts of wrinkling and creasing in the skin as you lead from the lower jaw down into the throat. You can also see the throat itself sculpted out and highlighted. Very nice application of the paint as well, as we have a greenish tone for the upper part of the Spinosaurus, and then kind of like a lighter tone here on the underside, and the transition to that color is pretty smooth. You can see that we've got the ear sculpted out, the nostrils sculpted out, the eyes are also sculpted out and painted nicely with a yellow. Then we have a black and a white spot to sort of insinuate some eye shine. You can see the teeth on the inside of the mouth, of course, are included, because that's part of the jaw and everything that we have on the other side that you'll see. You can also see the tongue as well is there on the inside of the mouth, as well as the skin here on the side, kind of as the Spinosaurus opens its mouth. You can see it's actually a maroonish sort of a tone. The tongue is like a reddish sort of tone, and the area here on the side of the mouth you can kind of see shining, as it has a little bit of a satin shine to it to kind of give it that saliva-like look. The crest up here on the top of the head of the Spinosaurus is also nicely sculpted and given an orangish tone up there. As you lead down here into the body of the Spino, we continue to lead down. We've got the arm sculpted very nicely. You can see the fingers sport some nice scoots moving down, and you can also see the nails are painted with a gray. They look very good. The arm is held in that position. It doesn't articulate or anything like that. As you move back up, you can almost slightly see the rib cage shining right there, I think, and you can also see the skin texture again, even though it's very fine, looks quite nice. Moving up into the sail detail also looks really good. You can see the spines there of the sail as well as the scale detail, even though again it continues to be very fine. It looks really good. You also have an orangish tone leading up and over the top of the sail, and then as you lead down here you can see the muscle definition of the thigh and calf. You can also see the knee right there in the front of the leg, and even some skin detail in the front and rear of the thigh again, as the movement of the Spinosaurus is kind of playing off of the skin of the body. As you lead down, you've got some scoots running down the front of the foot down into the toes. You also have the nails painted with a light gray again, and you can see the opposing side there, the opposing leg. You can also see the dewclaws sculpted and painted. You can see that that lighter tone of the underside does run down here into the leg a little ways before disappearing, and if you actually turn it around, you can see the same thing for the other leg that we were just taking a look at. And then as we lead out, we again have that very paddle-like tail, and you can continue to see again how nice the paint apps actually are on this. I think they look really good. Like, look at the transition down, especially as you lead out here. That transition is really, really smooth. And then, of course, we turn the Spinosaurus around, and you can now see that we've got the skeletal reconstruction on this side. And not only that, you can see the brain there for the Spinosaurus back behind the skull. And again, they're very easy to assemble. The pieces fit so perfectly and so smoothly. As you move down, you can see the vertebrae and everything leading into the body. You've got the rib cage here, and then of course behind the rib cage you have all of the internal organs here of the Spinosaurus. And if you actually want, you can exclude the rib cage. You don't have to leave this in here. You can pull that out, which would expose all of the internal organs of the Spinosaurus. I would prefer keeping it on because the internal organs, like I said, don't really have any type of detailing to them, so they're not that impressive to look at. I personally think it looks way more impressive like this. You can see the shoulder blade and everything, and as you move down, this is the one area of the dinosaur that actually does have articulation. You can move the arm here, and I think that's mostly so that you can, help to assemble this, but once you put the arm back in the same position as the other arm, I think it looks quite nice. You can see all of the spines leading up into the sail, and they're nice and smooth. If you look at it from the side, you can see you actually have to push them in and attach them to the sail. And then you lead down here, you can see the bones of the leg all the way down into the foot, and then you lead out again, and you have the tail of the Spinosaurus here as well. So the Spino is absolutely phenomenal, honestly. This is probably one of the coolest models that I have acquired in a very long time, so I went from being kind of excited about this to being honestly almost over the moon excited about this, and now I really, really want to get some of the others in my hands. And then we've also, again, got our fish, which absolutely looks to be some form of a coelacanth, and you can see the detailing of the fish itself is also really nice, really crisp. You can see all of the scales of the fish, all of the fins sport a really nice, highly detailed look, and even the eyes of the fish are painted, which is, again, a nice addition. And then as you move it, you can see we lead over here, and now we have the skeletal structure of the fish on the opposing side, just like we have for the Spinosaurus. And of course, this would be the dinner for our Spinosaurus, so really nice touch. Again, as far as an accessory goes, I think this was a really good addition to this set overall. As far as a size goes, for a length on the Spinosaurus, you were looking at about, I would say, a little hair over 10¼ inches, or a little tiny bit over 26 centimeters. And then for a height, the highest point's probably going to be the sail, just shy, I would say just shy of about 3¾ inches, or around 9½ centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our Spinosaurus. And you can see the Spino is pretty small, so that means the model overall is definitely on the smaller side, but I think it's probably pretty similar in size to the Planosaurus version of the Spinosaurus. And for a comparison to check that out, there is the Planosaurus version of the Spinosaurus next to this super cool Megahouse version, and you can see they are absolutely very similar in size, though I will say the Megahouse version looks a lot better, if you ask me, than the Bandai Planosaurus version, but they're very similar in size overall. This is also quite similar in size to the newer version of the PNSO Spinosaurus, like that smaller version they had released. Very, very similar to that one as well. Also, for one more comparison, in case you happen to have it, here is the supersized Captives Spinosaurus for the Jurassic Park 30th anniversary next to the Megahouse version, just to show you that, again, it's at least a little bit bigger than the supersized Captives version. So this brand new Megahouse Spinosaurus puzzle is absolutely awesome. It really is one of the coolest things that I've seen in quite some time, and I'm very impressed with the quality of it. When I had seen the images online, I almost kind of expected it to be sort of like a cheap plastic like the Planosaurus figures are, but in reality it's definitely a much higher quality than that, and overall, everything again on the figure looks very high quality, especially when it comes to the sculpt and detail aspect. Like, it looks way better here in person than I was expecting it to be, and also way better than the Planosaurus figures are. And it kind of reminds me of those, like it's a very similar style, but just a lot higher quality than that. The, again, appearance of the Spinosaurus looks nice and natural, nice and up-to-date as well. We've got a nice walking pose for the Spino, and I'm very impressed with the fact that it can balance out as nicely as it does, because it, of course, has awkward proportions, as all Spinosaurus nowadays do, but the fact that it actually can stand with the tail off the ground and everything, even though it looks like it's back there for support in case it needs it, but it does balance with the tail up off the ground, shows you, again, just how good this model really is. The paint apps are also really nicely done. They're very smooth. There's not a whole lot to it, but they have given it a fully painted feel with, painted nails and everything, so very, very nicely done in that aspect as well. well. And then once you turn the model around and you take a look at the other side, you've got all of the bones for the Spinosaurus really nicely implanted into the model, and you have on top of that the internal organs, the brain. Everything looks super cool when it comes to that as well. The detailing on the internal organs isn't that great, definitely could have been better, but it's not absolutely necessary that they have a highly detailed appearance because they're obscured by the rib cage and everything. You don't see them that well, but they do look really cool in there even if they don't have the highest quality detail to them. And of course, on top of that, you've got yourself a little fish there that can be the meal for your Spinosaurus, and of course the fish also sports the, living side as well as the bones version, the skeletal reconstruction version of that as well, which again is just a really cool accessory to this set. So overall, I absolutely recommend picking this up. It is a very cool release, and I will include a link in the description exactly to where you can purchase this, which is where I purchased mine on Big Bad Toy Store. So make sure you check that link in the description. Go grab this really cool Spinosaurus, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.